Shalom.
Shalom. Team at Charlotte Midweek Camp. All right. Before we get started, we'll give all praise, honor, and glory to
Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushai, Ba'Hashem, Makakudah.
A double honors to the apostles, elders, great millstone, who taught us his truth. Double salutations to all you Hakim out the labor in the house of David, the elect, who's pushing his word with all truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Shalom to you brothers. Shalom. Hey, shalom to the elect. Yeah, so we're back out here to bring it out. Midweek live. You can get right into this thing, man. It's all about the prophecies anyway. This is what we're out here to push. All right, the end of this world, the end of Esau's kingdom. All right, and we do know, according to the understanding that's been given to us via the Holy Spirit, that the end of the world was going to come through the revival of Rome. And this is where we're at now. All right, the deadly wound that was healed, Revelation 13th chapter. All right, that beast. All right, going into America, NATO, and the EU, man. We're in that time, and one of the main last prophecies that we've been talking about a lot lately is the MOTB. All right, and pretty much the Spirit of the Lord has been on IUIC's neck concerning that MOTB, and we said it. You know, we knew, like I said in the lesson I did, that we knew in the Spirit that the Lord was eventually going to force the hand of IUIC, because this technology is so prevalent right now. There's no way that you can still run with these faulty breakdowns, even though they're doing it. But it shows you at the end, like we told you from Jump Street, that them guys, you know, they took the bag, man. They made them deals with the government, whatever, their handlers. So the Spirit has revealed these guys to be those highly and false prophets, man. The Spirit of the Lord ain't there, man. All right? Yeah.
Isaiah chapter 8, verse 20.
There you go.
To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. Yeah, and that's exactly what the elder is speaking of, right? The Lord has put that scope on IUIC as well as all of these other camps pertaining to their faulty breakdown of the scriptures.
Yeah, it's looking bad.
It's looking very bad, right? But that's what the Lord is doing. The Lord is searching Jerusalem with candlesticks.
Yes.
Right? The Lord is examining the hearts of men. The Lord is examining the fruits of these individuals throughout the circumcision, and he's bringing to fruition their works before the entire midst of everyone. You know? So we're seeing that according to the law and the testimony, and we understand pursuant to Revelation 19 and 10, right, that the testimony of Yahushai is the spirit of prophecy. We see the prophecy coming to pass pertaining, as the elder had made mention of the MOTB, right? It's irrefutable, right? But despite that, you still have guys that are trying to come up against the doctrine of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai.
Read this for me, Micah 3 and 5. Sorry, Micah 3 and 5 down to 11.
Right. Micah chapter 3 verse 5. Thus saith Yahweh concerning the prophets that make my people err, that bite with their teeth and cry peace.
Right, and when you come with these faulty ass breakdowns, you're causing the people to err, man. Right, that's why there's so much confusion out there concerning the MOTB, the mark of the beast, man. First is sin, it's the mark of Cain, it's the philosophies that you believed in America or whatever, you know, white women, whatever these guys are teaching, right? There's so much confusion out there, man. This is why in the Spirit, we say just stick to the apostles, the elders, and GMS. It is what it is, whether you like to hear that or not. All right, go ahead. All right.
Are you asking questions or just recording?
We're recording right now.
Oh, my bad.
No, you good, brother.
I had a question.
You good?
You had a question?
Yeah.
What was your question?
So, what are y'all thoughts on Jewish people?
What do you mean?
Like, for the 12 tribes, are you guys Jewish? Or like, how does that work?
So Jewish, when you go into the word Jewish, the suffix ish means pertaining to or to be alike. So those people that identify themselves as Jewish, which you see in Israel today, that's the Jewish state, the state of Israel.
So are these the descendants of?
These people that are on the sign are the true descendants, the blood descendants of the nation of Israel. The people that you are speaking of that are Jewish, the people that inhabit the land today are not the true Jews of the Bible.
So how do you feel about the current conflict with Israel and Palestine?
Well, we don't have a stance on it,
right,
but the understanding of what we see that's brewing in the Middle East, that's according to biblical prophecy.
Yeah, I get that part, but like, when it comes to supporting, are you supposed to support either side? How does that work?
We don't support either side. The side that we support is the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, the God of heaven and earth. Right? That's whose will we support. right? The agenda and the MO of what the Lord has for these people on the sign, right, is to receive of salvation. Right? Now the scriptures speak about in the book of Sirach 5 and 15 to be not ignorant of a small or great matter. The great matter that you should be concerned with, the stance that you should have, is the stance of repentance. Right? And making your calling of election sure. The Lord is giving you an opportunity right now to do that.
I do want to add on to something you said. Go to Jeremiah 50, get verse 45. Because as a result of that conflict that's going on between these people that claim to be the true biblical Israelites and the Palestinians, it's going to result into nuclear war. And that's where we're at in prophecy right now. All right, this Iran situation, Israel, America, that's all going to bring forth the war of Armageddon. Read that real quick.
Jeremiah 50 verse 45. Therefore hear ye the word of the Lord Yahweh that he hath taken against Babylon.
Yep, talking about America. Go ahead.
I'm still listening. I'm just looking at this.
Yeah, you got it.
Continuing on, it says, in his purposes that he hath purposed against the land of the Chaldeans.
Still speaking about America. Now, it said the purposes. So what we're reading here, this involves the will of the Lord. Right? Go ahead.
Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out.
The least of the flock, going back to those people that proclaim to be the Jays that you mentioned. All right, they're getting ready to pull America into World War III. This is happening as we speak. Go ahead.
Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them.
Right, so the Lord is going to make not only America desolate, but he's going to make the land of Israel desolate with those fake Jays over there. We got to speak like that for YouTube purposes, because they'll, knock the video off.
I get you.
See what I'm saying? Because they're the ones that actually control the media.
Yeah, I've been hearing about that. Like, I'm actually pretty confused. Like, is that true that they run everything?
They do. They do. I actually got an article if I can pull it out. But matter of fact,
while you grab that, I'll add some further context.
Yep.
If you ever heard of AIPAC, AIPAC is it's a committee. It's the American Israeli Public Affairs Committee, and pretty much they have a handle over all of these people that are in government positions.
Yep.
So the members of Congress, they have what is known as an AIPAC handler. You can look it up for yourself. AIPAC.
So whenever presidents become presidents, why do they have to kiss that wall in Israel?
Because they are under the control of the people in that region.
So does that have to do with anything biblical or no?
What do you mean?
Like,
as far as that aspect of going over there and kissing that wall, that doesn't have anything to do with the Bible.
That's
when you really go into the practices of the practices that those people in the land of Israel today do, that's not tied to the Bible. What they follow is the Talmud.
It's all satanic.
Exactly. When you go into the practices of the Talmud, it's a lot of demonic, satanic practices. Child sacrifices, all type of weird shit.
So that's like, because I've been hearing stuff like how people be moving crazy, like in New York, that like underground tunnels.
Yeah,
and stuff
that's
like
all
that.
real.
That's real.
And all of that, and see, we're in a time of exposure. So the Lord is allowing all these things to come to light because we're at the end of this man's rulership, his power. So he's allowing all this stuff to get revealed before he physically destroys it. If that makes sense. Now I found the article I was making mention of. This is from the LA Times. This came out back in December 19th of 2008. The title, it says, Who runs Hollywood? Come on, I'm gonna read this, right? Just read a couple paragraphs.
Now, if I may add the part, Hollywood, what do you know Hollywood for?
Weird stuff, right?
Weird stuff, but it influences the minds of the people through media. Right? So just keeping that in mind as the elder is going to go into this article.
So you think, are Jews behind the CIA as well?
All that. Everything you can think of, they run it.
So there will the destruction of communities and such.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So you know a little something, man.
Yeah.
You scratching the surface.
Yeah.
Right? I'm gonna read this. Let me get a couple paragraphs out of this.
After that, I got another question as well.
Gotcha. So it says, Who runs Hollywood? Come on. This is by Joel Stein, which is a J, right? It says, how deep, this is the second paragraph of the article. It says, how deeply is Jayish Hollywood? When studio chiefs took out a full-page ad in the Los Angeles Times a few weeks ago to the demand that the Screen Actors Guild settle his contract, the open letter was signed by News Corp President Peter Cherrin Jayish, Paramount Pictures Chairman Brad Gray Jayish, Walt Disney Company Chief Executive Robert Iger Jayish, Sony Pictures Chairman Michael Linton, surprise, a Dutch J, Warner Brothers Chairman Barry Meyer, J-ish, CBS Corp, Chief Executive, Leslie Moonses, he says he's so J-ish, his great uncle was the first Prime Minister of Israel. MGM Chairman Harry Sloan, J-ish, and NB Universal Chief Executive Jeff Zucker, mega J-ish. If either one of the Weinstein brothers had signed, this group would have not only the power to shut down all film production, but to form a minivan with enough Fiji water on hand to fill a mikvah. So pretty much he's bragging about all these top executives that run Hollywood are all Jays, right? Now I just want to jump to the last paragraph just for time's sake, right? So jumping down, this is what he said, right? Bear with me. So he says at the end of this article, he says, I appreciate Foxman's concerns and maybe my life spent in New Jersey, New York, and the Bay Area, LA, pro-Semitic cocoon has left me naive. This is what he says, this is the point. He says, but I don't care if Americans think we're running the news media, Hollywood, Wall Street, or the government. I just care that we keep running them. See what I'm saying? So he's bragging about the power that they have over America. All the media, the government, Wall Street, Hollywood, etc. All right, they run the whole thing, right?
Also, dang, now y'all got me asking more questions.
No, that's good.
Is the Earth flat?
Absolutely not. I got a scripture for you. Isaiah 42. Let me get that real quick.
Why the others grabbing that precept? You could catch a flight from Cali to the Philippines. So when you look at the map, we're on the Western Hemisphere. And on the Eastern Hemisphere, you got regions such as Eastern China.
Because I've been hearing, like, they said NASA's, like, trying to deceive people and stuff like that. Because it's, like, something about the firmament.
The firmament?
Yeah, the firmament above the Earth that makes it not possible for spaceships and stuff like that to go past.
Right, Van Allen.
Yeah, you did a lesson on that. That's crazy. But this, oh, Slot, go ahead. This to answer what you said about the Earth being flat. This is Isaiah 40.
Hold on, let me type this down real quick, all right?
This is Isaiah 40 and verse 22.
40? Hold on.
All right, Isaiah chapter 40, verse 22. It says, it is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, right? So it's proven that the earth is a sphere, right? It's round, it's not flat. It says, it is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell therein. So that's your answer right there. You know?
And then for further validity, if you consider, okay, Alaska, right? When you look at a map, what part of Alaska is that map on?
It's like the higher part.
If you look at a map on a flat board.
It's like
Alaska, yeah, it should be on the bottom, but it's up in that upper part of Canada, on the western side of the world. Now Russia stretches all the way over to the east, correct? You can cross that region within miles.
Right.
So if the Earth was flat, it would not be possible to go from that side of the Earth to that side within miles.
You would fall off, right?
Exactly. Also, too, you have flat earthers that they pretty much they captured light, and they captured light within a scope. And essentially, what they were trying to see was if that light would fall from the scope that they were looking at. Because if the Earth was actually flat, like it was just one straight plane, that light would not fall. But that's what happened. The light fell because, as the elder had read in the scriptures, the Earth is round. It's a sphere.
Also, for 12 tribes of Israel here, like, I see that it's more of like people of color. So, what does this mean for the people who are like white and stuff like that? Are they also part of the 12 tribes, or like what would you describe them as?
Those would be considered the heathen nations. They're not going to receive salvation on this side. When you read the scriptures, when you read the Bible, salvation is first and foremost for the Lord's people. Get Joel 2 and 27. Let's get scriptures. Start with 2.
The money cover.
So, like, all my white Christian friends, they're not gonna go to heaven?
Well, see, it's deeper than skin color.
Right.
It's about the spirit, because you got people who are Israelites that you see on this side, but they're not going to necessarily look like dark skin like us. Our people come in various colors. It's all about the spirit. You see, that's something that you have to learn over time.
So then your color would just be something like as like a vessel?
The color is like more of a reference point. So that's why when you look on the sign, these people, so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, Hispanic, people that were indigenous to this land, all right, they make up the 12 tribes. And we believe that through faith, but also you have historical evidence out there, you have archaeological evidence out there that proves these facts as well. But first and foremost, it's all about faith. Matter of fact, go to Romans 8:16. Give them that.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 8.
Yeah, because you can't really get caught up in the color, all right? Prime example, the best example I can give you right now, Drake.
Yeah.
What does Drake's father look like? He's darker. He's
black,
about as dark as us, right? Now Drake, he had a baby with a white woman, right? You seen his son, right?
Yeah.
His son looked like a straight white boy with the blonde hair and everything, but his son is still an Israelite.
But like, what if the bloodline is just like straight white? So what does that make them?
Bloodline straight white. So you're saying like if he was a straight Edomite, then he would be an Edomite. It really goes back to the father, who your father is. The bloodline is determined by the father.
The father determines your salvation?
It determines the okay, that's a great question.
It does.
Hey, yeah, basically.
Because the salvation is of as the scriptures speak about in John, the 4th chapter.
Right.
The Messiah, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ,
Right.
his name is Yahweh Shai. And he said to a woman at a well, a Sumerian woman, that salvation is of the Jews.
Yeah.
Now, when you go into how lineage is tracked, your bloodline is attributed to your father.
Right.
Because as a man, what do you carry in your nutsack? You carry the seed. So if you put that seed, if you have an apple tree, if it's the seed of a North American apple tree, right? A Red Delicious, right? That seed is a Red Delicious tree, whether you plant that tree in Asia, whether you plant that tree in America. It's a Red Delicious apple.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what you had asked was, salvation is predicated on the fathers. Yes, because the salvation goes back to the promises that were afforded to our forefathers.
Right. Abraham,
So-
Isaac, and Jacob.
Would that make predestination, like predetermination, a thing then?
Yeah. It's a spirit. Matter of fact, give him Romans the 9th chapter. All right, because it was predestined for the Israelites to be the chosen seed, but within the chosen line, there's a chosen within the chosen, which represents the remnant or the elect. Those are the individuals, the spirits that are going to receive salvation on this side. Because even all the people on this side are not going to make it. The Lord is coming back to gather his 144,000 and the great multitude, which represents the 1/3. I wish we had the sign out here. All right, that's going to consist of men, women, and children that believe. You know. What you got
So
now?
if predestination works, what's the point of some people going towards salvation?
So you asking a couple of questions. We want to make sure that we answer each one
Yeah, that's right.
in its right order.
That's right.
Where do you want me to start? You want me to start at 3?
Romans 9 and yeah, you can read down and jump to verse 10 after you read 1 through 4. Hey, Shalom.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 9 and verse 3. And this is the Apostle Paul.
Right.
So
Paul wasn't a Jew.
Paul was a Jew. Paul was a Jew.
Or was that Peter?
Peter was a Jew as well.
Right.
So which
Paul
apostle wasn't a Jew? My bad.
So Paul to answer your question, Paul was a Jew, right? And he was sent forth. He had a task to bid the Gentiles into the calling of election, to receive a salvation, to repent. Those Gentiles that Paul was preaching unto,
The people who aren't of the Father?
they are of the Father. They were Israelite foreigners because, as the elder had made mention of, we touched on it lightly, but what happened across the history of our people as Israelites, we were scattered throughout different regions of the world. So you had different parts of the world, different regions where our people were inhabited. So those Gentiles that we're about to read about, that Paul is speaking to, are Israelite foreigners. I just wanted to give you that context before we read this.
Also, this is out of the room. Random question. What are those crystals on your neck mean, sir?
Crystal?
Yeah.
Stones.
Just stones? No other meaning? Okay, I was just curious.
We had the priest that said Paul wasn't a Jew. We're gonna get that to show you he was an Israelite.
sir.
You speak of the Jews were just a surname dealing with the northern, southern kingdom. Judah, Benjamin, Levi, they was called the Jews. And that's all the what's called Negro, the West Indians, Jamaicans, or Haitians will all be considered a Jew. So when you hear him talk about being from the tribe of Benjamin, that shows he was a Jew.
That's it.
Romans 11:1. I say then, hath the Most High cast away his people? God forbid.
Right. The Most High never casts away his people.
Right.
But you have what people misinterpret in this world according to Judeo-Christian values in Western America,
Right.
in the Western Hemisphere, is that this idea of supersessionism.
Yeah, replacement theology.
Exactly.
If you get a chance, look it up on your phone.
The idea that everyone is afforded salvation, right? But to be predicated on salvation, you have to be again of what?
Father?
Which is your bloodline.
Wait, so then, what was the purpose of Jesus dying on the cross then?
So we'll answer that
Get to
question, but we want to make sure that you understand the context of what's being said.
I'm hearing you.
Okay.
Romans 11:1. I say then, hath the Most High cast away his people? God forbid.
And not to cut off, but that's a doctrine of this world, that the Israelites were replaced by the Christian church. Now the Christian church is now spiritual Israel, which that's far from the truth. All right, the covenants, old and new, all right, still stand with the Lord's people to this day. It never changed. So as Paul saying, have the Lord cast away his people? Go ahead.
For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin.
Yep. So you would see Paul on this sign, right? Benjamin, right? As the brother priest is making mention of, the Jews were the southern kingdom. Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Right? Those were the ones that were inhabiting the land of Israel at that time.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Okay, keep reading. Is there more now?
Verse 2. The Most High hath not cast away his people, which he foreknew.
The Most High has not cast away his people, which he foreknew.
That's right.
The Lord never casted away the so-called blacks, Latino, Native Americans, and Hispanics, because one principal thing that has been taught in this world is that we're a people of no reputation. That we were just swinging from vines and shit. You look at the track record of our people, it's just capped at slavery.
Yeah.
You try to push past that boundary, it's like
You're gonna get flat.
niggas act like I don't know what's going on.
We have a very rich and vast system,
Right.
and it's all contained in the scripture.
Yep.
You got any more on? I got something real quick. This is Jeremiah 33, just to add on to what we just brought out. This is Jeremiah 33 in verse 23. It says, Moreover, the word of the Lord, Yahweh Shemel came to Jeremiah, saying, Consider thou not what this people has spoken, saying, The two families which the Lord, Yahweh Shemel have chosen, have he even cast them off. So going back to what we talked about, that replacement theology, the supersessionism. The world tells us that the people on this side have forfeited the covenants that were established with their forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But that's not true, all right? It says, have he even cast them off? Thus they have despised my people, that they should be no more a nation before them. So like he was saying, when it comes to these people on the sign, we're not a people. We were just some niggas they found in Africa swinging from branches, right? When they came over here in the Americas, the Native American Indians and the Mexicans, so-called Puerto Ricans were just savages, right? No, our history goes back to the scriptures. Say again?
Africans are mentioned in the Bible, right?
Africans?
Yeah,
So,
the tribe of
Like Ethiopia.
Right,
In
right.
Daniel,
So-
they
so-
mentioned Ethiopia. Did they?
Right, those are the Hamites, but what happened is within Western Christianity, they tried to bubble all of us into that seed of Ham.
You got that Bible dictionary? Yeah, pull it up. Let me finish the read. It says, Jeremiah 33, verse 25. Thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai, if my covenant be not with day and night, and if I have not appointed the ordinance of heaven and earth, then I will cast away the seed of Jacob and David my servant, that I will not take any of his seed to be rulers over the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Those are our forefathers. All right? Which go ahead, Salah. Which the covenants were established with, the promises, right? It says, and I will not take any seed to be rulers over the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, for I will cause their captivity to return and have mercy upon them. So now we're in a time where the Lord is getting ready to deliver these people on this sign out of America to various parts of the world where we've been scattered, starting with the elect, the remnant of these people.
So where would you say the Bible is based in? Like most of it.
What you mean?
Like from the Old Testament to the New Testament, where would you say it's based in geographically?
I'm trying to figure out how to answer that.
I mean, really, it encapsulates really the
Because I
whole
know-
purpose because the scriptures speak about the captivity that we're in right now.
Yeah.
Right? The
But-
scriptures speak about the North Country, right? The scriptures speak about Ashereth,
Yep.
which is this region over here, the quote-unquote unknown world, right? Even going back to the time of King Solomon,
Yep.
right? You had Hamites that would travel over to this region. So really, the Bible it encapsulates every part of the earth.
Because it comes from, I believe, 3 regions only.
Excuse me?
It's, I believe, 40 men in 3 regions where the Bible was like written at.
Are you referencing the people that translated the King James?
No, I just think I think it's the original writers. I'm pretty sure.
The original writers of what?
Like other books.
Where do you get that source from?
Yeah, I never heard of that.
That's not, because like the brother is mentioning, the Bible is speaking about all the regions of the world. Because as we're seeing what's going on with like World War III, more tension with Russia, Ukraine, all throughout the world, that's all mentioned in the Bible. It's going to talk about how it's going to be wars and upwards all throughout the
All
world.
over the earth. And that's happening as we speak.
I think where I got that from was Pastor Philip B. Mitchell. Have you guys heard of him?
Never heard of that.
It's from the church 2819.
Church ain't got that.
Yeah. That's real. The church is pretty much done.
So then,
Dealing with any of these churches, they're under what you call you look this up, a 501c3 charter. So under that, it's a gag order that they had a deal with the government that if they teach what the government wants them to teach, then they could be tax exempt and they can get all the money without having to pay taxes.
They're bound by the system. There's certain things that they're not allowed to talk about. They can't talk about politics. They can't talk about, the in-depth of the scriptures, man. So with that
like
itself,
politics and like situations like police brutality or what's going on.
they can't talk about that.
But in his recent message, he was just speaking about police brutality though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, but as
So would you say
as
the government
church
is
as a
controlling
whole,
him or no?
they're all bound to that 501c3 agreement.
But
So-
even if you do think about that, if he's telling you what's going on with prophecy right
Exactly.
He's
now, are you
speaking about it in a
aware?
biblical manner, yeah.
Look, are you aware of Revelation 13 and 16 dealing with the mark of the beast? Does your pastor talk about that?
Yeah.
Not really, no.
So that's why we're telling
Yes,
you.
he should be talking about that.
They don't know exactly what they're talking about because they're told on what guidelines to abide in. If you're a teacher of the Bible, you're supposed to teach everything. You're not supposed to withhold nothing back.
Right.
So a major prophecy that's supposed to be talked about is that. So let me ask you a question. So do you know exactly the whole thing with Revelation 13 and 16?
But actually, I'm just not Revelation.
All right.
I'm only on Revelation 3 right now.
That's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But
He's all over the place.
Yeah, no
It's all
wrong
good,
with that.
though.
So, but have you heard about that breakdown?
Yeah.
So what do you know about the mark of the beast?
It's gonna come during the end times.
Are we in the times now?
I mean, I guess you could say that, but wouldn't end times really like be shot through once the Antichrist is revealed?
So, one, there's not just one Antichrist. There's many Antichrists, as the scriptures say. But, can you get that for me, Revelation 13?
Also, just a random question. You guys are reading KJV or what?
KJV.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
You gotta come and listen one day, bro.
So
You gotta come and listen one day.
what, like I said, what I'm trying to get you to understand, as far as dealing with the end times. So, we've been in end times since the Messiah came on the scene. So, understanding that, number one, will put you in the mindset to understand where we at right now.
So there's
I got something for you real quick. Just want the scriptures to continue to come out.
Right.
Revelation 19. All right? Because if you claim you believe in who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, this is what you're supposed to be doing. Go ahead.
Revelation chapter 19 and verse 10. And I fell at his feet to worship him, and he said unto me, See thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahweh Shai. Worship Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. For the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy.
So, anybody that's coming in the spirit of the Messiah, whose name is Yahweh Shai. Now you hear the world, they'll call him Jesus, but his real name is Yahweh Shai according to the Hebrew. So if you hear anybody talking about the Bible coming in the spirit of the Messiah, they're supposed to be talking about prophecy. Because throughout the whole Bible, the Messiah is mentioned. All right, so prophecy is the main topic of any time we talk about the Bible. So the prophecies that we're talking about, like I asked you about, dealing with that MOTB, the mark of the beast, that's one of the most prevalent signs of prophecy. Let us know that we're in the end days.
That's it.
Because have you not seen on the news how they're starting to talk about everything going biometric, everything is making to where they want to be integrated in the system.
Also, I'm wondering,
Hold on, before you do that, bro, you hopping stuff that
yeah, I
you
know
hard.
I'm going everywhere.
Yeah,
I still got to get back to the point where y'all were talking
we're
about
going to get there, but this is more important than what we're about to ask now.
Right.
Because this right here is life or death. Because if you take that chip, the Lord will kill you. Yahweh Shai, or who you call him, Jesus, he will kill you if you take that. This is why we want you to understand that first.
That's it.
So go ahead.
And this is what all these pastors need to be talking about. You got it, brother. That's what he got. Okay, go ahead, brother.
Revelation 13 and verse 14. Yeah, 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead.
So, as it says, he calls us all, both small and great, rich and poor, to receive a mark in his forehead. So, that mark that is talked about, when you look up that word mark, in that verse, it goes into paragma, which is a stamp or imprint. Which is why when you see that needle, they're gonna put that needle in between your index and your thumb, which is part of your hand, has the most electricity in your body.
I missed it.
So we'll get to you in a minute. So that if you get that mark in you, okay, that's you're showing an alliance to the system.
Sure.
You have chosen the God of this world, which is Satan, which is the so-called white man, to be your God.
But by that time that people are supposed to receive the mark of the beast, wouldn't already the chosen people by God, the people who are saved and already repented of their sins, already be in heaven?
No, there's no such thing as a rapture.
That's part of the hour of temptation, which is going to try. Give me that real quick. Revelation 3 and 10.
Because see, and that's the thing when it comes to this Bible, bro. The thing that you learned in church,
You got to throw it out.
you got to throw that out because what they're telling you in church is not the truth. Now, that might sound crazy to hear that, but like we said, you have to know these things for what they're really talking about.
So do y'all have a church?
This is
Sit
the church.
right here.
We're out here every week, Wednesday and Saturday. So if you got questions, come out here.
Hey, the
Well,
scriptures,
You said we
the
shouldn't have
scriptures
church.
say that wisdom crieth out on the streets.
Right. And
You know?
the scriptures also say that the Spirit of the Lord does not dwell up in temples made by hands. The Spirit of the Lord is right here. Because as we read earlier, all right, any man talking about the Spirit of the Messiah will be prophesying. The people in the church ain't prophesying. All they're doing is telling you prosperity, all right, pay your tithes, all right, and they'll give you a bunch of mumbo jumbo when they go on a motivation
Yeah.
speech about 20 minutes.
And most of the people in the church have no clue of what's really going on in the world.
Because as we keep getting away from this, I'm trying to get you to stay on this so you understand.
Yep.
This mark of the beast is the main prophecy you should be concerned about. Because if you see the way that the money is going, you see how money's going digital, right?
Yeah.
So do you understand that all your information, your wallet, your medical history, your social security, everything's going to be on this chip? Because they want you to take that so that you can be a part of the system. Now, when you call Jesus or Yahweh Shai, is telling you not to take that and rely on him. This is why I said you have to know this, because when the time comes to where they crash this society and you don't have nowhere to go get your food from, if you got a family, you take care of your family, they're going to tell you to get that.
Yeah.
But the Lord tells you to take sauce to him. He's going to feed you. What's going to happen is a lot of people that don't know about the Lord and what his message is, they're going to take that, the Lord's going to kill them. Go ahead.
Revelation 3 and 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world.
Which should come upon all the world. So what the brother's talking about dealing with the mark of the beast, that's part of the hour of temptation. That's also part of Jacob's trouble.
Right.
It's going to come all upon the world. Everybody's going to be tempted to either rely on the Lord, all right, to rely on the faith that they claim they have, or to sell out to Satan.
Now,
that's part of the test.
And this is why we're saying, Your church pastor's never going to talk about that. Your church pastor in that time is going to tell you to take that.
Yep.
Because we have documentation that we brought up before that, what was it, Romans 13?
Yep.
They're going to tell you to obey the powers that be.
Yep.
So these churches, these government leaders, these people in position of power are going to tell you to comply
Yep.
and take
What
that.
about like churches like in the middle?
It was the same thing with the jab scene.
Right.
Right? Pastors in these churches told people to get the shit.
Now,
You know?
not to go far off, but
Right.
as far as the pandemic, right? Did you take the juice? Did you take the jab?
Yeah, I took the vaccine. Does that make me not more of a Christian or like any less?
Phew, man.
I mean,
Do your research. That's all we can
Yeah,
say.
yeah. We can't.
We ain't even gonna sit up here and go in, but you need to do your research, brother. Right?
so does that cancel out my salvation?
No.
No.
You can still, the Lord can still save you if he wants to, but
it's the
point.
mindset.
The mindset of, do you trust the government more than the Lord?
Exactly.
I mean, at that time, I was just trying to be saved, so I just.
But you didn't know no better.
But you hear what you said? At that time, you was trying to be what?
Safe, just take precautions, yeah.
But that's what we're trying to have you understand. Your mindset at that time was that you leaned in to the order that was being presented to you, and under the guise of peace and safety.
Yep.
But then, what about
That's-
all the elderly people that actually like died of COVID and stuff?
So
like
we
that?
don't want to. You asking questions, but we don't want to deviate like the brother said about that point right there.
Yeah.
It's important that you develop a mindset that is a mindset of faith.
My friend's leaving. I gotta go. I'm sorry,
You know what I mean? It's up to you,
Talk
brother. You want salvation or you want to go?
No, I just last thing for
It
you.
is,
Because what
hey,
you
look,
said,
we're
you
not
want-
mad at you up here. We just giving you the truth, brother.
Well, look,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
gonna leave you with this, because what you said, you wanted to be safe, but the Lord is telling you that safety is with Him. So I'm gonna leave you with this. This is Psalms 91 and 9, and this is the approach that we took during that time.
That's right.
Because thou hast made, Psalms 91 and 9, because thou hast made the Lord, which is thy refuge, even the Most High thy habitation, there shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come near thy dwelling.
That's a
So,
protection prayer, ain't it?
It's protection prayer, but in that time, we were faced with the same thing we were faced with.
Yep, your job
Our
on the line.
jobs, our health,
Yep.
family, we still attack, and the Lord took care of us.
Yep.
And that's what we're telling you in this time now. You were ignorant at that time, so now we're letting you know now. In that same point, when they do this, have faith in the Lord.
Hey, make sure you pass that test, brother.
I mean, I trust nobody but the Lord.
That's
So.
it. Boy, hey, you gonna have to make it show in that time, bro. Cause hey, we're in a time where they about to push this thing.
And-
They're gonna crash the economy, and ain't gonna be no more use of paper money, no more credit card, debit cards, and they're gonna say, look, you wanna buy and sell, you gotta take that.
I
Choice
guess
is yours, brother.
No, we need to protect.
my choice is Jesus.
That's it. That's it.
We need to save you.
Let's get back to it.
Brother had a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I had a question. Like, where do you think like artificial intelligence falls into this? Like,
that's a
is
great
it
question.
robots
Go back to Revelation 13.
Yeah,
and
right.
arm
13.
implants and brain
Yeah.
implants?
All that. That's the image of the
Yeah.
beast, and it's the spirit. We did lessons on that earlier today, right? But all the apostle John the Revelator, he saw all this stuff. He saw the AI, he saw the chip, he saw
Like,
the social.
what I'm saying is, if somebody, let's say their hand gets all messed up,
Right.
and they get a robotic hand implanted into their flesh,
Right.
what would that be considered?
I mean, he still got the implant, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying, is that considered an implant against God, or is that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because in the law, it tells you to make no cutting in the flesh.
That's right.
So what they're trying to do with these implants and everything is to bring these pseudo miracles to make themselves seem like they're God.
Ooh, man.
Because through the Lord is come healing.
Please get that.
Or another thing, like what if it's like some kind of a robotic, artificially intelligent robotic leg that helps him to walk?
Those are those lying miracles.
Yeah.
Because when people see that,
But
it's
I'm
good-
saying is that where's the line? Where do you draw the line where it's considered to be?
The line is don't get it. If the line is if that's the element the Lord had you have, then you just deal with it until the Lord come back.
That's it. That's it.
Because
So I'm
anything
saying,
that
like,
you take,
you're in. Let's say your legs get blown off or something, so you can't get like those new robotic legs or anything like that. If you lose your
I
leg.
mean,
I would say no.
nah.
I would say no.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, what that's doing, all right, is bringing forth, like we said, those pseudo miracles to make the government seem like they're God. Because all these different scientific advancements that they're doing, you mentioned AI and all that, is, is to make themselves seem like they have more power than God.
Just to add a point though, if you get the bionic arm and legs, you're gonna have the chip in you to move.
Right.
You're not just gonna get it on you and move on its own. It's gonna have to have a chip in you to move the arm, to move the leg, everything.
Like the example, the first test subject that Elon Musk put the brain chip in,
Yep.
that he was paralyzed, he's able to move stuff with his mind. He's only able to do that because that chip in his
There
brain.
you go. It all goes back to the chip.
But you're saying even if it's someone who like really needs it and they're paralyzed, they still shouldn't get it.
Well, that's a great question because that's going to happen. But that's going to happen for the purpose to get the ones to believe in those miracles. That's why they're doing it now. That's why Elon Musk, which he's the head of Neuralink, right? He implanted his, I believe, his second patient with the device, and that man was able to move his neck or something, his arm or something like that. So this is what they're doing to present to the public that you can trust and take this technology, right? Give me that real quick, second testimony. You got it?
This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and
It's
verse...
all a snare. Go ahead.
2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 8 in the NLT. It says, then the man of lawlessness will be revealed, but the Lord Yahweh Shai will kill him with the breath of his mouth and destroy him by the splendor of his coming. Verse 9, this man will come to do the work of Satan.
He will come to do the work of Satan. The men that you see on the sign right here. All right, they're doing the work of Satan. Go ahead.
With counterfeit power and signs and miracles.
With counterfeit power and signs and miracles. So that technology is all left-handed witchcraft sorcery, man.
Right.
Right? Keep going out.
Verse 10. He will use every kind of evil deception to fool those on their way to destruction.
Exactly. So like I said, that question you asked is a good question because they're presenting that to people right now. They're showing, look what we can do. When you get this chip in you, right? You can walk again. You can move your body again. You see? That people are going to buy into that.
Because if I can answer that, because if you go back to the story in Exodus dealing with Pharaoh and his magicians,
Yep.
he was able to copy to a degree the same abilities that Moses had. But when you read about how when Moses put his staff and made it a serpent and he ate the magician's serpent, that was to show you that the Lord's power was greater than the left hand.
That's it.
So that's the same thing that we're seeing in today's time. They're just making it through this so-called science, but it's not science, it's witchcraft.
It's really witchcraft. High level witchcraft. Go ahead.
If I may add too,
Yep.
all these high-level medical marvels and sciences and things of that nature, if you have them now, eventually you're going to be forced or coerced into having to get upgrades and things of that nature.
Yeah, like a good, I don't know if everybody watch Netflix, but it's a show on there called Black Mirror. And the very first episode in Black Mirror shows exactly what the brother just said.
Yep.
Because in that episode, it shows you the woman had a brain tumor. And so to save her, they put a microchip in her brain so that she could function again. And they eventually got to the point to where she started having abs. And so to get the abs out of her, they had to upgrade to a higher premium, which cost more money. And then the more and more that stuff can happen to her, they had to keep upgrading it to the point to where they couldn't afford the payment.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what the devil wants to do now.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to see go on more and more, but they're introducing things now as a means of technological advancement.
That's it. So through that technology, as it's been put out there, they have the ability to hack your brain.
Right.
So it won't even be you operating your body. It's gonna be fucking AI. It's gonna be Satan.
A good movie to watch also is Upgrade.
Yeah.
I got a precept.
You got it, brother. Oh, matter of fact, can I finish that?
Yeah, go ahead.
2 Thessalonians 2 and 10 in the
This
latter.
stuff is real serious, but people don't consider it. Just look at it as a piece of technology.
Right.
You know?
That makes sense, yeah.
2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 10 in the NLT. He will use every kind of evil deception to fool those on their way to destruction.
Exactly.
Because they refuse to love and accept the truth that would save them.
Exactly. Like the guy that was just up here. He wasn't really trying to hear what we had to say. His mind was already made up. All right. His conscience was sealed with a hot iron. Go ahead.
Verse 11. It reads, so the Most High will cause them to be greatly deceived.
Yep. Just like he did. He said he took the JAB. So how much more when the pressure comes down for those to take that? Go ahead.
And they will believe these lies.
And they will believe these lies. Because what? They're seeing people walk again. They're seeing people that couldn't talk again.
Right.
So people are going to fall victim to that snare.
And that's the snare is that as they're doing this, they're quote unquote healing people.
Yes.
We're out here telling the people according to the scriptures that the Lord is against that. That true healing comes from Him. And so they're going to use the Bible as a means of demonization to say that we're speaking against the technological advancement of the brain.
Exactly. So right now, in this society, in this day and age, it's science over God.
Right. We saw that during the pandemic.
Yes.
And when it comes to that, the line of science and what they're calling science now, if you look at the scientists of old, Isaac Newton and all them, they would use the Bible as reference to make sure that their hypotheses were correct.
That's right.
Now, you look at the scientists of today, they don't even use the Bible for anything. That's how we know today is witchcraft. Because what they're doing now is just experimenting on shit. And they consult with Satanists and they do, rituals and stuff to talk to demons to give them the ideas of what they're doing.
Exactly.
Like the AI you mentioned earlier, Elon Musk came out and told you that he's unleashing the demon with his AI.
Yep.
And so he said that he wants to be the good guy to bring the demons down.
Hey, not to rant, we'll get back to the scriptures, but those quantum engineers, there's a video one of the brothers are posting. One of those quantum engineers from Google said the AI has surpassed human consciousness. And they said the deities that they're dealing with are not necessarily in line with their ideas.
Right.
So who are they dealing with? They're dealing with spirits, demons.
Right. And one more point is dealing on science. When you look up the true meaning of science according to the Hebrew, all right, it goes back to the word amok, which is truth. Real science is truth. What you see in today, this isn't real science, man. Like I said, this is real demonology and witchcraft.
Yes. Got that. Now pass back to us and read the last two.
2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 12. Then they will be condemned for enjoying evil rather than believing the good.
Yep. That's it. So these people are going to be condemned because they trusted not in the truth. They believed the lie, and those lies tie back into those lying miracles. This technology, everything that he's presenting to the people now.
Right.
Right.
If I may, when you read 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 12 in the KJV, it says that they all might be damned who believe not the truth but have pleasure in unrighteousness. When you look up this word pleasure in the Strong's Concordance, in Strong's G2106, it says, think it good, choose, determine, decide, to prefer.
Which is why the main reason why these people are now more coerced to go with the science now is because they've been conditioned to college, school and all that, to where they question religion. They question the Bible now because science, through what they teach in school, gives them reason to understand everything. Whereas the Bible, because they don't have to understand it, to really go in and break down the Bible, it's less questions. Because if you don't have the Spirit of the Lord to be able to read the Bible, you don't understand it. They'll go to what they feel like they understand better, which is this bullshit that you learn in this world. I got a precept. This is 1 Timothy 6:20. Oh, Timothy, do that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science, falsely so called. Now, when you go into this word science, give me a second.
You got it.
Falsely so called is pseudonos, which means falsely named. Because this isn't real science, like I made mention of earlier.
Pseudoscience.
There's witchcraft. All right, and that's how they're able to charm the people into leaning towards that. Because like what you made mention earlier, if you got somebody that's missing limbs, or it may be paralyzed because they have some type of brain ailment or whatnot, this microchip and these different things are miracles that they created to make it to where they feel like they can go back to a normal life. So this is why they're pushing that to make it seem like we read earlier in 2 Thessalonians that they're God. They have more power than God now.
That's it.
Because if God was really real, like how the world wants to say it is, then why can't He heal me? So now I'm giving you the heal instead of Him. You know?
It's a perfect setup. But you got to have the understanding to be able to see what's being said. Right?
It's a spiritual war going on right now between the devil and the Lord. Now, you say the devil, but the devil has a physical counterpart in the world. All right, which we know as the Edomites, which is known as the so-called white race. Now, when we say the white race, just because your skin color may look like you're a white man doesn't mean that you are an actual Edomite. Because the Israelites have been scattered throughout the whole, four corners of the earth. So if you have an unction to believe in what the Bible says, then you might be an Israelite. But when you look at the fact of the matter, the people that run this world, as you see in this wicked sign right here, the elites, the chief house of the Edomites, which is the Amalekites, these are the devils that rule the world right now. These are the vessels that Satan is using to bring his will to the earth. Right.
Hey, spirit, that's how the spirit deep. After the second chapter, start first verse.
This is Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 1. It says, I will stand upon my watch, set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me. What I shall answer when I am approved.
And the prophets, the true prophets, are upon the watchtower, giving the people warnings of the times to come, the things that get ready to play out on the earth. Go ahead.
And the Lord answered me, and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables.
Right, the vision, going back to the prophecies. The Lord set us up to make these visions plain, meaning to break them down. All right, to give you the proper understanding of what's being said in this book. Go ahead.
That he may run that read it.
Yep. That you may be able to receive and to understand it and go tell somebody else. Right? Go ahead.
For the vision is yet for an appointed time.
So the Lord has specific prophecies set for an appointed time. As we've been talking about for the past, 40 minutes now? Going into the mark of the beast, going into World War III. All right? These are those appointed prophecies that are set to take forth in this time now. Read that again now.
For the vision is yet for an appointed time.
Yep.
But at the end it shall speak.
But at the end it shall speak. So, again, if the Spirit of the Lord is dealing with you, you'll be able to see that these prophecies are clearly speaking right now. All right? The wars, rumors of wars, the coming crash of the economy, they get rid of the dollar, the MOTB beast system coming to pass, famines, plagues, pestilence, civil war, class wars, violence, right? Go ahead, on.
But at the end it shall speak and not lie.
Yep, it's not lying. Go ahead.
Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry.
So and we're in a time where these prophecies are surely coming to pass daily. All right, give me real quick 2nd Ezra 9, start at the top, right? Because what the Lord is doing is overwhelming, right? And like we were telling the young man earlier, if you come in the spirit of the Messiah like you say you do, you're supposed to be prophesying, man. You're supposed to be warning people of the times that are coming, the things that the Lord warned us about, man. Christians ain't talking, the church ain't talking about nothing, right?
And so the tell us to cover to prophesy, man.
That's it.
Right? And also say who can but prophesy.
Yep.
Right? So if the Lord is really dealing with you, then you're going to be speaking on these prophecies and these things that are
Absolutely, absolutely. Real quick, before you read that, go to Sirach 39. Get 1 through 4. Before we go to that. You know, it's all about prophecy. Yeah, Sirach 39 at the top.
So the Sirach of Ecclesiastes chapter 39 and verse 1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient, and be occupied in prophecy.
And be occupied in prophecies. Right? That's our main concern. The prophecies, because the prophecies are the tokens, the signs that determine what? The end of this place is us getting out of here. Salvation. The destruction of the wicked. Right? Go ahead.
He will keep the sayings of the renowned men, and where several parables are, he will be there also.
Exactly. So the renowned men, going back to the prophets, and it says, read that part about the subtle parables.
And where several parables are, he will be there also.
Right. The subtle parables go into the dark sayings. All right. The mysteries of the scriptures, because you got to have the spirit of discernment on you to decipher what's being said. All right. Because these parables are written and they're written in mysteries. They're like puzzles. Right. Go ahead.
He will seek out the secrets of the grave sentences.
See, he will seek out the secrets of the grave sentences. So you really got to have the Lord dealing with you as you read the book. This ain't a book that you just open up like a novel. That's why people who ain't meant to, meant to be really reading this book, they're breaking the scriptures down wrong. They don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah, like the Jake that was up here earlier, talking about his pastor told him this. His pastor don't have the truth. His pastors don't know how to correctly break the Bible down.
Yep. People in these churches who read the Bible front to back for 30, 40, 50 years and still don't understand what it's really saying.
Right, because the correct way to read the scriptures, like it says in the Isaiah 34, but people precept online.
Pull that up.
One thing is Isaiah 34, 28.
It's Isaiah 28,
I was thinking about
verse
that
10.
precepts.
Yeah,
I can
that's
understand.
what too,
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking about. Go ahead.
This is Isaiah 28 and verse 10. It says, for precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little, there a little.
Right, so like the elders just mentioned too, there's our precepts to get understanding. So it's a Bible verse that connects with the Bible verse, and you jump to the precept to get the understanding of the verse you're reading.
Yeah.
You can't just read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation and think that you're going to get the understanding. Because if you don't know how to properly break the scriptures down through the precept, you'll get lost.
You'll get swallowed up. You'll stumble.
Like, for example, we're not going to go into it, but just give an example. If you read Genesis 1 and 1, you have to know the precepts that align with that verse to be able to actually know when it says God created the world. All right? Because the Most High himself wasn't mentioned in Genesis, the first chapter. All right? So you read that, you get confused. And that's a whole different topic in itself. But that's why we said you have to have the Spirit of the Lord to give you the ability to go into the precepts.
Yeah, you got that's part of having the oil. You got to go into the meaning of words.
Yeah.
You got to break it down. You got to go to the etymology. These people don't do that, right? Because you have something called newspeak,
Right.
Which when Esau created, where he changes definitions of words. So you got to go back to the original context to get the understanding behind certain words.
And also, too, they have a thing called a lost in translation as well.
Yep.
Dealing with the name. Because when it says Jesus, that's not the name of the Messiah. They said that that's the Messiah's name that was translated in English, but that's not true. As we just mentioned, Yahweh Shai, you translate that into English, it really should be Joshua. But Jesus was put there as a stamp. So just, you have to know how to go into the original language. In the Bible, you have to know Hebrew. You have to know a little Greek, a little Latin, because you have to know the meaning of certain words.
You got to be a scholar.
Like John 3:16. They tell you, Christians read that God loved the world. Well, what words they're talking about? Because there's three different types of words when you look at that definition.
Yep.
You got orthomene, cosmos, and what's the other one?
I forgot the last one. Eon.
Eon, yeah.
Yep.
So you gotta know what context to be able to put what definition in for that.
Exactly.
So just give that
There's
out.
many hurdles and stumbling blocks in this thing. That's why you got to have the Spirit working with you. Go ahead. Is there any more in there? One more.
Surah 39 and verse 4. You shall serve among great men and appear before princes. He will travel through strange countries, for he hath tried the good and the evil among men.
That's it. Go back to Leviticus. Yeah, second Ezra 9. Yeah, I lost it. There you go.
2 Ezra 9 and 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself.
So how do you measure the time diligently within itself? You measure the time by using the scriptures and applying to what's going on in the world. All right, the Lord said that we will see. Matter of fact, let me not jump in. Go ahead, keep reading.
I was preaching that.
You got it.
Revelation 11 and 1.
There you go.
And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood saying, rise and measure the temple of God.
Yeah, the Israelites. The temple of God is the Israelites. The measuring stick or the reed or the rod is the scriptures. Right? Go ahead.
And the altar and them that worship therein.
Right, so that's how you measure the times through the scriptures. Right? The Lord said that you were going to see earthquakes in diverse places. Have we not been seeing that?
Yep.
Over there in Thailand, this many hundreds of thousands of people died.
Doing that right now.
Different parts of the world, landslides, all types of stuff, right? Wars, rumors of wars, right? That's all part of measuring the time. Let's go back to that. Just to give you an example.
2 Ezra 9 and 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself.
So we have understanding on that. Go ahead.
And when thou seest part of the signs come to pass,
So when you see these things come to pass, as we've been seeing, go ahead.
which which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he
So
made.
all these signs that we've been seeing going on the earth is telling us that the Lord is on his way back. Whether you believe that or not. The government does.
Hey,
They know he's coming back.
The
Right?
woman that just came up, she asked them. And she said she looked at the signs that Musk is doing that right now.
Exactly. So people are aware. Right?
Like when Jack was up here talking, he said, you know, the mark of the beast will come during the end times. He didn't understand that we're in the end times right now.
Exactly. Right? We definitely.
What's going on with that UFO there?
I'm glad you asked that question. So read that again. I'll link you with that. Read that precept again.
So 2 Ezra 9 and 2, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made.
Right, so this is how the Lord is getting ready to come back. Real quick, give me Isaiah 19:1. He's coming back in the host of heaven. All right, what the world Italy calls UFOs, UAPs. This way he's coming back. All right, years ago, I want to say probably like 10, 11 years ago, before YouTube got heavily regulated, there was tons of videos of the government admitting that look, they were actually watching so-called UFOs bigger than the Earth over the Earth. Right? They're admitting that. That's why as of lately, with 2019, they start declassifying all this information concerning the UFOs.
Like the main event that we always mentioned was the one where this right here, the UFO over the White House.
That was like back in the 50s this happened.
Right.
Yeah. This is a real photo too.
I forgot what they called it, but was it? What was the president at the time?
I forgot.
Eisenhower or somebody.
Yeah.
But they tried to call in the military to come fight. By the time they got there, they were gone. But they've always known about the presence of the so-called UFO.
These are the angels.
Right. But this is Isaiah 19:1. The burden of Egypt.
Yep.
Behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud.
The Lord rideth upon a swift cloud. Like that, when you see that movie Independence Day? Will Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was based off the scriptures.
Yeah.
Right? When that big fathership came on the earth, that was basically the Lord.
Right.
But in the movie they showed you was black aliens and shit like that.
Right.
No, this is really the Lord and the heavenly host coming back.
And to add to that point, that scene that was described in Independence Day, that's actually in the Bible. You have the Apocrypha, they took out of the Bible.
Yeah.
But you got the Apocrypha?
I got it right here. 2 Ezra 13 goes.
Yeah, this book right here, 2 Ezra 13th chapter, that actual scene is actually written from that. Because these Hollywood directors get their script from the Bible.
Exactly. So they know what's getting ready to happen.
What was that?
The Apocrypha?
Yeah,
Yeah, this is part of the original text, King James. This is part of the Old
we're
Testament.
saying it's something they took out.
Yeah, they took it out.
Oh, okay.
Because there's some very crucial history here, especially dealing with the time of the Maccabees, all right, the Hellenization of our people, how we became Gentiles, how our people fell away from the Lord, etc. All right?
Like I show you right here, when I got the 1611. So, right. So
Wait,
you
how
see-
many books do they take out of it?
That's a good question. How many books did they actually take out?
Come on, right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 13 books. Yeah, if you look up, it's a group called the Bible Destruction Group. They were the ones that was commissioned to take these books out of scripture. That's why when you hear people talk about the Apocrypha, they say it's not canon.
Right.
Because the Roman Catholic Church doesn't recognize the Apocrypha as being part of the Bible. But if you get your hands on the 1611 Bible, you'll see that all these books are still in here.
Yeah, it's
Wait,
part
what
of it.
are they called?
This is the 1611 Bible.
1611?
1611 King James Bible, yeah. So it's written in the Old English, so it's a little harder to read. But all these books are in here.
So, let's get that in, since we were talking about the chairs, give them, let's go to 2 Ezra 13. So like you were saying, that whole scene where the fathership came over the Empire State Building and dropped that beam down and blew everybody up, that's in the Bible. Let's read that.
2 Ezra 13:1. And it came to pass after 7 days I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea.
Yeah, and the sea that it's talking about is talking about the heavens, the Shemayim, the waters. This is how the Lord is going. He's going to actually break through the firmament, all right, when he appears on the earth. So that's the waters, right? The sea. Go ahead.
And lo, there arose a wind from the sea,
Yep.
that it moved all the waves thereof.
Keep going.
And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven.
That man is the Messiah, or the word it can be called Jesus the Christ, which his Hebrew name is Yahweh Shai, his true name. He's coming with the thousands of heaven. That's the angel. The angels, boy.
And when we read that 2 Thessalonians, thinking on the brightness of his coming, right, this is what that's speaking on right now.
That's right, bro.
It says, and I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven.
Yep.
And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that was seen under him.
Just like in the movie. Remember when the fathership came, everybody was looking up and they were scared, right? That's where they got that. For all things trembled that were seen under him, because he's coming back in that massive angelic vehicle, right? Go ahead. That's it.
And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth,
Yep.
all they burned that heard his voice.
That's the scene right there. When the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice. That was that laser beam that came down. And it blew up everything, right? Give me Isaiah 30:30, just to add on to that. Because it said the voice of the Lord, that's that laser beam, that concentrated fire.
Now this is Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 30. It says, and the Lord shall cause his glorious voice to be heard.
That's right.
He shall shoot the lightning down of his arm
There you go.
with the indignation of his anger, and with the flame of a devouring fire, scattering and tempest and hailstones.
Yeah, that's that laser beam. That's concentrated fire. That's the Lord's voice. That's going to come down. That's going to put these people in fire. Go ahead. Let's go back to that.
So that's 13 and verse 4. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice.
Exactly.
Like as the earth faileth when it fleeth the fire.
Yep.
And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven.
Right. So that multitude now, when World War III is actually taking place on the earth, that's when the Lord is going to appear. He's going to appear on the scene in the midst of World War. Nukes is dropping, things is blowing up. Countries is blowing up. The Lord is going to appear on the scene. Go ahead.
And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven,
Yep.
to subdue that man that came out of the sea.
So in the midst of World War III, as the nations are fighting each other, they're going to stop fighting each other and turn to fight the Lord when he appears on the scene. Go ahead.
But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain,
Yep.
and flew up upon it.
All right, so imagine seeing, what's a great mountain? Like Mount Everest. Imagine seeing Mount Everest just hovering in the sky. As big as it is. Imagine seeing that. It would block out pretty much most of the sky. Right?
I couldn't even imagine that.
Exactly. Go ahead.
And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight.
Right, because the Lord is going to put the spirit on the enemies of the Lord to fight against them. This is why back when Trump in his first administration, they created the Space Force. Right? They're actually watching the heavens. There's a video one of the brothers shared as well. As of 2025, the number of satellites that are in orbit all over the earth, it's like, I forgot, it's like so many thousands of them. It's like completely covering the earth because this man has the ability to watch the earth in real time. They're watching out for the Lord, the angels, and all of that, man. Right? Go ahead,
So they got guys like Elon Musk continually shooting stuff into the atmosphere.
Yeah, they're trying to escape it. They can't, like you said earlier, the young Jake, talking about leaving the firmament and all that, they can't do that. All right, there's boundaries that this man can't pass. He can't penetrate the firmament or go down in the ocean all the way. Go ahead,
And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword,
Yep.
nor any instrument of war.
Keep going.
But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips as a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests.
Yeah, that's that concentrated
So I have a
concentrated
question.
laser.
I have a question. So
Go
you're
ahead.
talking about the firmament. So how do they get all those satellites in outer space?
They're all those satellites are really not in space. They're low orbit. Right? They're not actually.
They're not in outer space.
They're not actually in outer space if they want you to believe. Because there's something called a Van Allen belt. Right? They can't penetrate that. It's like high level radiation. The heat is like something crazy. I forgot how many thousands degrees it is. Right? But they can only go so high.
Yeah.
You know?
Video you did. What was it called? The Project what?
Project Fishbowl.
Yeah. They never figured out how to truly get into the outer layers of the firmament.
In Asheville?
So like the whole NASA Like they just had the video.
So you
lately.
don't think we went to the moon?
Hell no.
We've never been to the moon.
Hell
Never
no.
been to the moon. Never been to
Because-
Mars.
Look, I was about to say it. That's green screen. Because I was about to mention, I'm pretty sure you saw the video with the Gail King and Katy Perry and all them with the space. That wasn't real. Because number one, when you look up NASA, the Hebrew word which means deceiver, to deceive. So that already is strike one against that. And then two, the whole thing about Neil Armstrong being on the moon, that's already been proven to be fake.
Exactly.
Because he's even been on record to come out and say that was fake.
Yo, they interviewed, what's his name? Neil Armstrong?
It's him as, I forgot the other guy.
Yeah, what's his name?
Yeah,
Well,
him.
one of him, yeah, they interviewed the guy about it, and he took off running.
If I can add too, how is it that Neil Armstrong was the first person to step foot on the moon, but the camera was already there recording?
And then on top of that, as they say that they planted the flag and it's wind blowing, but
Yeah.
they're out of space.
Come on, man.
I'm like, it's green screen, bro.
be
Hollywood.
honest.
That's why, like CIA, FBI, they've been doing this because my question to that, if they've been to space, why hasn't there been multiple trips back and forth? Where the moon rocks at?
They just did one, but they was like, we ain't got no footage. Now we ain't got no footage.
That's what I say. You seen Katy Perry and all that went up in space for 10 minutes? All these years of them talking about that's a however long trip, and they did that in 10 minutes. Come on, that's bullshit, bro.
I got a word real quick. You got it, brother. This is Genesis 1:6. It says, "And the power said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the water." So pretty much when you look at the creation, you got the waters on the planet Earth, pretty much the surface, you get an ocean, and then you got the firmament pretty much dividing, and you got the waters above. So it's an actual solid aspects.
Right.
I'll read that word for firmament though. It says, it comes from the Hebrew word H7549 in concordance. It says Rakwayai. And it says the firmament of heaven spread out like a hemisphere above the earth, like a splendid and pellucid sapphire to which the stars were supposed to be fixed, and over the which Hebrews believed there was
That's
a
experience. Oh man, that's crazy.
it says, and over the which the Hebrews believed there was a heavenly ocean. Pretty much, going into how it's solid.
Well, my question is, so what about like all the other galaxies, solar systems that are out there? Are they still out there?
Those are real.
No.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
they have the ability to look at it.
Look at it.
Yeah,
Right,
they
right.
do it.
Look
Cause
at it.
what's that new telescope they just made a couple years ago? Where it's like the more in-depth pictures now.
Yeah, they're saying they're finding super planets bigger than Earth that can
Right,
sustain
right.
life.
Right.
All that exists, but it ain't for them.
Right.
Well, we have no way of getting past Earth, is what you're
No.
saying.
No,
Because
not
hey,
at all.
if I can get this real quick,
Now, why is that? Why-
because
Job 14.
that's what I was about to get. This is Job 14:5. Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee.
Yep.
Thou hast appointed his bound that he cannot pass.
So there's spiritual boundaries that this man can't pass. He can't go all the way up in the heavens. He can't go all the way to the ocean. Even different parts of the world,
Blocked off.
it's blocked off, man.
Because
You know?
as far as
What do you think's going on with Antarctica? Like,
That's
That's
more.
some
That's
military
more.
thing,
Yeah, that's more deeper stuff, you know. But I mean, there's nothing that we would teach. But I'm pretty sure there's stuff undiscovered out there that Esau might be hiding. But we'll
Yeah.
find all that out when the Lord comes.
it's military bases and all
Yeah.
that. It's not really important to
Yeah.
know at this point. But as far as going back to the question about the space thing, because you got to understand these bodies are terrestrial. We're from the ground. So once you go past a certain point, in the space, these bodies can't maintain their molecular makeup,
Yep.
which is why when you send like monkeys and stuff up in space, they disintegrate up there because this body has to be on Earth. So this is why if you hear Elon Musk talking about going to Mars and all that, that's a pipe dream.
Yeah.
Because these bodies are not going to leave Earth.
Yeah.
To be able to leave the planet, you need a celestial body like what the Lord and Savior has.
Yeah, he's gonna give that to his chosen in that time to come. This is why, not to rant, but going back to those lying miracles, this is why they're pushing transhumanism.
Yeah.
Merging man with machine. They're trying to do it on the left hand side, because they know according to the scriptures that the Lord is gonna give his man actual spiritual heavenly bodies.
Right.
They're trying to do it in man's way.
Yeah, you gotta imagine. Why do you think all these rockets that they keep trying to shoot up in space keep blowing up? The Lord doesn't want them to have that technological advancement for that
Yeah.
because it's not meant for them.
Exactly. Those are the boundaries. The Lord got
Right.
boundaries set up. We did a lesson before even when, remember the lesson the dude went to the bottom of the ocean?
Yeah.
There was a boundary in the bottom of the ocean where when the submarine would try to go any lower, it would bounce up. It couldn't penetrate that boundary. That's the Lord.
And also too, it's a wall that's made up of just straight fish. To where you have like areas like the Bermuda Triangle, to where if they ships and planes go in there, they go missing.
Yep.
You know, so it's all different things the Lord has placed to where in certain parts of the earth he doesn't want discovered right now.
Exactly.
But see, this devil will tell you that they have discovered the majority of the earth. He hasn't even scratched the surface. It's not even, I think it was 14%.
Something like that.
He has
More.
little, if it's not 14%, it's under that.
Yeah.
Of what he discovered in the earth, man. He's a liar.
Yeah, and these devils got the nerve to say that the earth is overpopulated. Hell out of here, man. You got it. What you
No, the landmass of Texas is able to hold a good chunk of the earth on its own with that.
Exactly. This earth is vast, man. Go ahead, Al.
So John chapter 14 and verse 2, in my Father's house are many mansions.
Yeah, the many mansions going back to those planets we were talking about. All right, those planets are inhabitable, but they're not for these people. All right, they're for the Lord's people in the kingdom to come. All right, go ahead.
If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you.
Yeah. So there's all types of mysteries and things that we're going to become privy to when the Lord upgrades our bodies and minds. Right? Because right now, like Scripture say, get that in Corinthians, we prophesy in part, know in part. Right? Because the Lord has given us the knowledge, all the knowledge we need pertaining to what? To our salvation. Us get delivered. The wisdom we need to move in this world, you know?
So 1 Corinthians 13 and verse 9, for we know in part and prophesy in part.
Right.
Excuse me, and we prophesy in part.
Keep going.
Verse 10, but when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away.
Right, so meaning that when the Lord comes back and he upgrades us with those new spiritual bodies, it's like the priest was saying, we have those terrestrial bodies. The bodies that we're going to inhabit under the second covenant are going to be extraterrestrial. And we're going to actually have those bodies here on the earth, and we're going to be able to travel the heavens, different planets, go to the different boundaries that the Lord set up that Esau came past. See, that's part of the glory that we're going to receive, and we're part of the Lord's elect.
Right. That's why we was mentioning earlier when you asked about Antarctica. Our main concern right now is just trying to receive salvation, so we can be delivered from the coming evils and all the other stuff like what you're talking about with Antarctica. You know, in different parts of the land that is questioned. Like with this, you know that they have discovered parts of the earth where they actually found dinosaurs. You heard that? You know, just put that out there too.
Yeah.
But that's not our focus though.
Yeah.
Because our main thing is what the scripture talks about, what we need to be delivered from. But it's many things that there's questions about.
Yeah.
But it's not our main concern at the moment.
Exactly. Those are the things that we ain't teaching, right? Our concern is what? Receiving salvation. All right, praying that we make it through the times of trouble that are getting ready to happen on the earth. You know, are we worthy to escape those things that should come to pass and stand before the Son of Man? Right?
Yeah, these are all type of questions that people argue over that's tricky.
Right.
Like I mentioned the dinosaur thing. People don't realize that dinosaurs are in the Bible.
Yeah.
You know, they'll tell you that the earth is billions of years old, but mankind and dinosaurs dwelt in the same realm. When you read in Genesis when it talks about the behemoths.
Okay, so how old do you think the Earth is?
Around between like 12,000, something like that. We get that. Yeah, it's been a while. So yeah. Put something up there. Give me in the meantime.
Now why do you think that is? Like with all the carbon dating and everything like that.
Carbon dating is fake because what that is a hypothesis. It's an educated guess. And what they'll do by going into the different land deposits and all that, they just pull a number out their ass and try to say that it's millions of years old and try to discredit the work that the Lord does because the timeline of the earth, infancy and all that is described in the Bible. Now, to go in depth as, you know, you could go with it, it's not really important, but the fact that you have to hopefully it's not really over.
Second Ezra 14 and 11.
This is 2 Ezra chapter 14 and verse 11. start verse 10. God says, for the world hath lost its youth, and the times begin to wax old. For the world is divided into 12 parts.
Yeah, 12 parts representing 12,000 years. Go ahead.
And the 10 parts of it are gone already, and half of a 10th part.
Yeah, so it says 10 parts, which is 10,000 years. It says of it is gone already. And what was that last part?
And half of a 10th part.
And that half of 10 part is 500 years.
Now, I want to add to that point, because you said, we just break out again, start again, 1,000 years.
Read verse 11 again.
Second Edges 14 and verse 11. For the world is divided into 12 parts.
Right, 12,000 years. Go ahead.
And the 10 parts of it are gone already,
Which is 10,000 years,
and half of a 10th part.
which would be 500 years.
So we understand, according, like when you read Genesis, where it
Right.
speaks about, the first day, second day, and all that.
Yeah.
One day with the Lord is 1,000 years.
Right.
So read that on 2 Peter 3 and 8. But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day with the Lord is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. So, as the elder was breaking that down, you have to understand that concept to even be able to grasp this concept now, because what Esau will tell you now is the earth is millions, billions of years old. So when you start reading about the creation story, you're thinking that this shit is way years before all that,
Right.
and then all the different stories like the flood and all this other stuff, like that's far-fetched. If you're looking at that now, which is being used to discredit the Bible.
Right. So to add some more on that time frame, the Messiah, Yahushua, came on the scene at year 1 AD, 500 years later from the time of Ezra, which was 500 BCE. So when Yahushua arrived, the 10th part, the 10,000 year, was fully complete. It says, fast forward today, we are in the 12th part, the 12,000 year, being that Yahushua came around 2,000 years ago hence. See, so we're around, like I said, that 12,000 year mark,
Which is why I think he was up here earlier when we was speaking with the young guy, and he was talking about the end days. So the end days began when the Messiah was on the earth.
Yep.
So, like we said, they'll tell you he was on the earth billions of years ago, and all this happened. But as we just showed, that was fairly recent,
Yep.
in the eyes of the Lord.
So that kind of gives us the range of the age of the earth.
Right. The earth is still young,
Yeah.
but it just doesn't look that way because the rulers that are in power right now have raped the pillars of the earth to where it's something. Because when you look at, it's a documentary on Amazon Prime going into the days of Noah. And they'll tell you during that time when Noah walked the earth, that the earth was plenty. Things in the earth were bigger. The people were bigger, the animals were bigger, the vegetation, all that was bigger. Like, for example, oxygen, they talked about a cluster of grapes. It took two strong men to be able to carry a cluster of grapes, but then you look at a cluster of grapes now, you can fit in your hand. A good example of that, if you look out in California, you have a forest called the redwoods. And those trees are big as shit. Because it's showing you how things used to be back in the ancient world.
Everybody knows coming. That day, it surprised everybody. Right. Not knowing it was on its way.
Oh, Genesis the 4th chapter about when Cain, right? The earth would yield its strength.
Yeah.
This is Genesis chapter 4 and verse 11.
Yep.
And now art thou cursed from the earth.
Matter of fact, start at 9.
Genesis chapter 4 verse 9. And the Lord Yahweh said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper?
Right, he's a liar. Right? Go ahead.
And he said,
And this is after he slew his brother Abel. Go ahead.
and he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground.
Right, so Abel's spirit was crying out to the Heavenly Father for what Cain did to him. Go ahead.
And now art thou cursed from the earth,
Yep.
which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand.
Yeah, so Cain was cursed. Go ahead.
When thou tillest the
When
ground,
thou tillest the ground, go ahead.
it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength.
Right, so really the reason why the earth is in its current state because it's being ruled over by the descendants of Cain, which would be the biblical Edomites.
Which is why when you see everywhere that the so-called white man lives at, like using Europe as an example, that's a barren wasteland because the earth wasn't going to yield to them. That's why everywhere they've gone, like those people over there in the land of Israel call themselves Jews now. When they came into that land throughout them different alleles, they had to import all the trees and everything over there because that land wasn't yielding to them.
Yeah.
Even here in America, since they came over here to America, look how this place, which was first known as the land of milk and honey, look how it's become a wasteland.
Exactly.
You got concrete jungles, all these skyscrapers and pavement everywhere, man.
This used to be a paradise
Right.
at one point.
Hey, when the Native Americans were over here before the conquistadors and everybody came over here, the pilgrims and all that, they would find gold and minerals just laying around. But then after the so-called white man came over here and conquered this land, you see, you can't even find fruit trees anymore, man.
Charlotte was a major plot, you know, for gold mining. That's where you get the 49ers.
That's it. Yep. You got it.
It's Tobit chapter 4 and verse 13. Now therefore, my son, love thy brethren, and despise not in thine heart thy brethren, the sons and daughters of thy people, and taking not a wife of them. What's the point? For in pride is destruction and much trouble, and in lewdness is decay and great want. For lewdness is the mother of famine. Right? So when you read how scriptures talk about wickedness is multiplied in the earth, right? That lewdness, that wickedness is the reason why we're in the state of great decay and great famine on the earth as it speaks.
And because of these people that's ruling, what are they producing? GMO foods. They put chemtrails in the sky, put polluting the water with toxins and microplastics, right? Homelessness. They cutting down all the trees.
Displacing the animals, fucking the people.
See what I'm saying? So all that's contributing to the destitution of the planet. Go ahead.
2 Ezra chapter 14 and verse 17. But look how much the world shall be weaker through age.
Exactly.
So much the more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein.
Yeah, so as the world dwelled on, the world got worse and worse, it got weaker, right? People got worse,
And
you know?
after that point, because if you look at the progression of society, you go back to where the claim to fame is they said society started with the Greeks. So from the Greek Empire to the pagan Roman Empire, and then for that little period when you had the Holy Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire and all that, to where we here in America, which
Little horn.
the little horn, which is also known as Rome 2.0, the reincarnation of Rome. As technology has increased, the world has suffered for that.
Exactly.
You know, so this is how we know that, like you mentioned earlier, we are being ruled over by the descendants of Cain.
Exactly. Now, and how is the technology killing people? The radiation.
Yeah.
Radiation from the satellites, radiation from the cell phones, the TV you watching, all the technology you got in your house, the Wi-Fi routers, all that is killing people, man. 5G, now we're getting ready to go to 6G.
And even the salt, the juice.
Yep.
Because they did reports to where all those people that died from that juice, they was riding through the cemetery and it was like nothing but Wi-Fi routers for all the
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was heavy.
Got that juice.
That was heavy, man. It was glowing.
It was glowing, yeah. The dude had to test them riding through. You just saw all the plots how routed.
Yeah. It was giving off Wi-Fi signals because that's that nanotechnology that they put inside that JAB there. Yeah. So this stuff is diabolical, man. But this man's gonna pay. Give me that in Revelation. Is we hold something? Give me that real quick.
Isaiah chapter 24 and verse 4, the earth mourneth and fadeth away.
Yep.
The world languisheth and fadeth away.
Right. Could somebody give me the word for language? Right. And that's the earth right now. Right. This earth is not in full strength at all. And that's why these things, the earthquakes, sinkholes, mudslides, hurricanes, this is the earth fighting back.
Hey, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. This definition of language in the Free Dictionary, it says to become or be weak or feeble, to lose strength or vigor.
Yeah. So the earth is literally losing its strength. You know? Any more?
To exist or continue in miserable or disheartening conditions.
Is that not the planet and the people in it? Go ahead.
To remain unattended or be neglected.
Yeah, so the earth is not being ran like it's supposed to be ran. Right? Because the true people are not in power. Go ahead.
To become.
That's it.
Yeah.
If I add to that point, though, Adam was given a job to keep the garden.
That's it.
Right?
Cultivate the earth.
Cultivate the earth, yeah. It says to become downcast or turn away in longer.
Yeah, that's it.
Which is why when you read Romans the 8th chapter, it talks about how the creation groaneth and travail until the sons of God are risen back up.
The earth needs these people on the sign to get back in order, get back in power, right? Because if not, then the whole world will be destroyed.
Right.
You got it.
Isaiah chapter 24 and verse 4 in the latter. The world languisheth and fadeth away.
Yep.
The haughty people of the earth do languish.
Yep. And even the people. That's why everybody, high levels of cancer, everybody's sick, right?
Man.
You know?
If I may add, there was an article that was talking about the rise of colon cancer in people that are in their 20s,
Yep.
30s, and 40s.
Yeah, and why is that? Because it's a lack of fiber in this food because of these GMOs.
Yep. No nutrients.
Yeah.
This man took out all the nutrients. This is why you got to supplement and take a shitload of vitamins just to get the real minerals that your body needs. Right. And it's really supposed to be in the meat and the vegetables and the fruits.
Yeah, say let that food be
Now, what do you do if you're homeless?
Huh?
That's even harder, right? If you're homeless.
Yeah. But see, this is what we're addressing, because even within homelessness, you're supposed to leave a certain percentage of the the weeding base. You're supposed to leave a portion of that for the people that are homeless. So even the destitute. So from top to bottom, this devil does not check out any of the true aspects of a leader according to the ways that the Lord said to him.
He's merciless.
Yeah, this devil has no mercy. Like you said, it's even harder for you if you're homeless. He knows that, but what his mindset is, he looks at you as a prophet, because your homelessness puts somebody's food on their table. That's what allows somebody to be able to sustain their lives.
Right.
So these problems that Esau, this devil puts out into the earth, he doesn't want to mitigate them.
Right. Because the Bible has solutions for all the world's problems.
Right.
But the people in the rulership don't use the scriptures for what it is, because as it says in Job the 20th chapter, he puts the words of the Lord behind it. But what you just said, this is Deuteronomy, and this is the law. Deuteronomy 24 and 21. When thou gatherest the grapes of thy vineyard, thou shalt not glean it afterward. It shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow.
It is. So right there, the scriptures is telling you, understanding that people may be homeless and destitute, hey, you have to leave a portion for them.
Right. So there should be no such thing as a world hunger problem. Even a homeless problem, because the scripture talks about if you have a sanctuary, a sanctuary place. So the Lord had all those avenues covered, but as we see the rulers of this world don't give a damn, because any way they can make a profit off the suffering of the people, they do it.
Yeah, the scripture said that the unwise king destroyeth his people.
Exactly.
So we're being ruled over by who? The unwise king. These people don't care about nothing but themselves.
And to show you they don't give a damn about the homeless now, especially because in certain states, they've made it illegal to be homeless. That's why you see them.
It's a crime now.
They'll put spikes on places where you can sleep at.
Yeah, why they do all that stuff?
Because they're wicked.
No, I've been in a few cities and like it's tough to find somewhere to sleep. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
They pretty much they made it damn near illegal to be homeless, but then also like when people try to go to these different hotels, they put a limit on how much they go to hotels too. So,
It's all about money. It's like if they can't milk you for something, then they're gonna try to kill you. So that they can make it to where they can do something.
Yeah, but how are they making money off of being homeless though?
you shelters, yeah, you get a certain amount of money. 60 minutes homeless, they get locked up or something like that. They get a certain amount of money. People that's in there. From the state.
It's all business.
Oh, from
And
the
then on top
government.
of that, you see these people that walk around and they give out, food and different supplies. Those are tax write-offs that they can use to pretty much put more money in their pocket. So while it seems like they're trying to help, it's really just a selfish means for them to get more money for themselves.
The government also subsidizes a lot of these homeless help people that come out here, right? The different organizations, they get these subsidies, but it's millions of dollars that don't get spread out either. So they take paychecks instead of use that money to help forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Sirach 39 and 26. The principal things for the whole use of a man's life are water, fire, iron, and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing.
Now these are all necessities of life that the Lord made free for us. Now, what you have seen with the government done is made all this to where you have to pay for it now. Now, did you get scratch that lamentation where it said we have record on water and money and all that? You know, because everything that the brother just listed off, the earth makes revenue.
I mean, it's not.
It's not good.
Bro, what's up?
Isaiah chapter 24, verse 5.
Yep.
The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof,
Yep.
because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance,
Yep.
broken the everlasting covenant.
Look up the word ordinance. All right, and then, like the scripture said, the earth is defiled because of the rulers. These are the rulers. These people that run the earth, that own, that control the money supply, that own all the resources, that control the media, the corporations. It's these people, man. Right? This is why the earth is defiled. This is why the earth is waxing weaker. All right. This is why everything is dying. Right? This is why the earth is in desperate need for the righteous to be put back on the throne, so the earth can thrive and people can live again. Right?
So ordinance in the Ellen Online Dictionary reads, an authoritative direction, decree, or command,
Exactly.
or directly from,
Should be at the very bottom.
to put in order, low rank, series, arrangement.
Oh yeah. Go into the yeah. It should be at the bottom. But those are all good points though.
Strong's H 2706.
Right.
It says statute, ordinance,
Right.
something prescribed,
Right.
decree, ordinance, specific decree, law in general,
Yep.
enactment, statutes, conditions, enactment, decrees.
So going back to Adam, he was given the decree on how to govern the earth, to cultivate the earth. Anymore?
Civil enactments prescribed by the Most High.
Civil enactments prescribed by the Most High. Esau, these devils, they're not operating in that manner. This is why the earth is in the current condition that it's in.
Can I add
Right?
that? Off the free dictionary, it says the act of conferring or receiving holy orders.
See, there were holy orders given to the rulers of the earth. Right? This is why, as you quoted Romans the 8th chapter, this is why the Lord's creation is yearning for the sons of God to be put back. Right? Because Matthew, 24 and verse 22, the Lord, give me that real quick. That's why he sped everything up.
Let me add to that point too. This is the first, when Esau getting into rulership, that was the first time where Israelites weren't, looked at for guidance or advice, right? There were all these other kingdoms were look towards us, for counsel, right? But now that what the brother may mention, starting with the Greeks, right? From that point on, that wickedness was allowed to fester, man.
Right, which is why the scriptures refer to the Edomites as the basis of all men. Because only an idiot would defer from the Lord's laws, which have been proven to work, to promote a science experiment. And that's what this whole rulership that he has been running is a science experiment.
He literally fucked the whole earth.
Because when you look at the definition of modern, because what we're living in, what they call is modern times, the word modern literally means to be opposed to the past. So he has said, fuck what the Lord said, I'm going to do it my way, and we see the byproduct of what he
Look at
wanted
the
to do.
results.
Is not the Lord called the Ancient of Days?
Before time itself.
This is Matthew chapter 24 and verse 22.
Yep.
And except those days should be shortened,
Yep.
there should no flesh be saved.
Exactly. That's why everything is moving rapid fire. The prophecies, all the calamity and chaos is going on in the world. These things are happening because he said, the Lord said, no flesh will be saved. Go ahead.
But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened.
Yeah, so for the elect's sake, these days are being shortened, man. Salvation is on the way. The Lord is getting ready to destroy the wicked rulers of this world, man. Because if he didn't, no flesh would be saved. He would destroy the planet. If he had his way, he would destroy the whole earth, man. There would be no existence because, going back to the birthright, man, because he got finessed out of the birthright, he's just ready to take the whole world with him.
And we see that, as one of his last options. When you look at the land of Israel, they have something what they call the deception option.
Yep.
To where if World War III, when World War III pops off, if they find themselves in the position where they can't win, they have nuclear missiles set to pretty much shoot at every country in the world.
Yep.
They want to bring a worldwide genocide because they can't win.
Exactly. Real bitch.
Extremely strong.
That's it, man. If I can't have it, nobody will, man. You know?
That's that devil. Right? The scriptures speak about how he carefully sought it with tears. You know? The intent of this devil's heart is deep. everything that you see happening, like as the elder had made mention of, is the direct correlation of him trying to set up a pseudo kingdom. All of these, like going back to the original question about the AI integration into society, the AGI, the chip, all of these quote unquote futuristic advancements is for him to try and actually establish his kingdom on earth.
Exactly.
This is his kingdom, but he wants to take it to a whole nother level.
Left hand means.
The scriptures say that inward thought is that their house shall go on forever. He sees that his rulership is slipping between his fingers, so he's trying to figure out a way to usurp authority. And because he knows that when Messiah comes back, that he's going to be knocked out of the palace. So what his rabid mind wants to make come to pass is that they're going to go to war with the Lord, defeat him, and establish himself as the eternal ruler of the earth.
Nonsense.
And that's why they have quotes like reinventing evolution and things like that. Because they want, like the brother said, they want to put themselves in the seat of the Most High, man.
Yeah. Yeah, this is why they're bragging about Elon Musk and Trump bragging about the revival of Rome. Right? As we talked about earlier in the beginning of this sermon, that the revival of Rome is going to be the end of this world, man, as we see. This is why, as you said, the part of the beast, or part of the image of the beast, is this system that they're pushing, man. It's a modernized Rome, if you will, man. A technological Rome, right?
If I may add too, because this is starting to come back, there's an article that The Economist had posted in last month's edition. And basically the article was talking about cyborgs and superhumans.
Yep.
And the push throughout that entire article as you read through it was pretty much a persuasion to show you why these advancements, one, must happen, and two, will happen, right? And it was showing you the current state of the world and why there's a push to break through this wall that what really is a pseudo wall, right? Because Esau's mindset, the powers that be, they want to break out of their confinements of these bodies, man.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it's
Right?
about. Yep.
They want to exceed past what it is that the Lord has set their bounds to.
Yep.
But ultimately, they're not going to be able to pass it.
Exactly.
But they're going to try their hardest to do so.
Yeah. They're trying to fulfill what's written in First. Matter of fact, let's make that the last one. 1 Corinthians 15. They're trying to fulfill 1 Corinthians 15 on the left-hand side, though. Because as we talked about earlier, they know that the Lord is going to bless His elect, all right, with new spiritual bodies. All right, we're going to go back to, in a lack of better words, we're going to go back to our original form. These bodies are not our original form. Right? We're getting ready to go back to God's status. Right? 1 Corinthians 15, start at verse 44, 43, somewhere in there. And we'll just read down to the point. Or we'll read to the end of the chapter, that'd be it.
It's 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 1.
So again, these people on this side, they know that this is getting ready to come to the Lord's chosen. Go ahead. Start at 44, 43, whatever.
This is 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 43. I started 40. We'll start at 40.
You got it?
There are also celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial.
There are also celestial bodies, speaking about angelic bodies, and there are also terrestrial bodies, which those bodies that we have now are terrestrial.
What we speaking about earlier.
They can break down their age and die, right? Go ahead.
That's why they said that old saying, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. You die, you go back to the earth.
That's it.
But the glory of the celestial is one, and the glory of the terrestrial is another.
Keep going.
There is one glory of the sun, and another glory of the moon,
Yep.
and another glory of the stars.
Yeah, so the Lord created the different celestial bodies for His purpose. All right? Go ahead.
For one star differeth from another star in glory.
Keep going.
So also is the resurrection of the dead.
Go ahead.
It is sown in corruption. It is raised in incorruption.
Right, so these bodies that we're in were sown in corruption, meaning in sin. But in due time, we're going to be raised into incorruption. All right, perfect bodies, sinless bodies. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 43. It is sown in dishonor. It is raised in glory.
Man.
It is sown in weakness.
Yep.
It is raised in power.
See, they know that. They know this is coming. Go ahead.
It is sown a natural body.
Yep.
It is raised a spiritual body.
See, they know that the spiritual bodies are coming. They're just trying to do it on their own, by their own means, through technology. By merging man with machine, put the chip in your body, right? Bionic arms and legs.
too.
Yeah, that's all witchcraft.
Yeah, they've been
Right.
doing that through Hollywood for years. That's why it seems like it's finally like a futuristic concept now to have mechanical parts put inside you.
Exactly. Or take your brain or your consciousness out of your body and putting it inside a machine.
Yeah.
That's all madness. Go ahead.
Jumping down, it's verse 50. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High.
Speaking about these bodies. Go ahead.
Neither doth corruption inherit incorruption.
Keep going.
Behold, I show you a mystery.
Right, this is what Paul was saying. This is a mystery. Go ahead.
We shall not all sleep.
Meaning we should not all die. All of us are not going to die. Right? You're going to have, you may have some martyrs for the Lord or whatnot, but everybody's not going to die. Go ahead.
But we shall all be changed.
We shall all be changed. Go ahead.
In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye.
Yep.
At the last trump.
At the last trump. So we're in that time, man. These last days when things start going down, right? The Lord's going to give his men those spiritual bodies. It's going to be spiritual power. Miracles are going to be happening. Go ahead.
For the trumpet shall sound,
Yep.
and the dead shall be raised incorruptible.
And the dead shall be raised incorruptible, man. Those that died, died in the Lord. Go ahead.
And we shall be changed.
And we shall be changed. Meaning we're gonna put on those extraterrestrial bodies. Keep going now.
For this corruptible must put on incorruption.
This corruptible body must put on incorruption, perfection. Go ahead.
And this mortal must put on immortality.
See, these mortal bodies are going to put on immortality. We're not going to die. We're going to be as gods on the earth. That's pretty much the point. So, again, they know this is coming, right? It's heavy stuff.
Which is why you see them trying to make super soldiers and these different killer robots and whatever. Because they know that the Lord is gifting those bodies to his men.
That's it, man. So, hey, we'll leave it like that. Hey, we pray that you sincere listeners out there were edified when we close out by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh. Hey, double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstone who taught us the truth. Double salutations to all you Akim out there laboring in the house of David, the elect. Just pushing this word with all truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Shalom to you brothers, shalom to the elect. Hey, shalom.